what you call it, an engine spring. And I figure I'll just go on up here and try to get into this area 51. I'm right south of this Nevada test site, or Nellis Air Force Base.
Listen.
And I'm right outside this restricted zone.
Listen to me. When you fly into that zone,
Yeah.
they are going to either push you down or shoot you down. Don't you know that?
Well, you know, I've been in a lot of Air Force bases. I've been in the Air Force for 10 years. I'm an ex-Air Force, but I'm just going to tell you that, you know, as American citizens, we have the right to know what's up there in this area 51. I've been listening before and talking about this. Hold on here, I'm taking a turn, just a second here. And I'm going to go on up there and see what's going on. And I just wanted to let you know about that before I do that, don't you know?
disturbs us. We want to deny it. We want a rational explanation for it. If something disturbs us, we want to deny it. We want a rational explanation for it. If something disturbs us, we want to deny it. We want a rational explanation for it.
a thrill, with darkness and silence through the night. What a thrill. I'm searching and I'll melt into you. What a fear in my heart, but you're so supreme. I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater. Someday you go through the rain, and someday you'll feed on a tree frog. It's ordeal, the trial to survive for the day we see new light. I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater. I'm still in a dream, snake eater. Blind in the deepest night, reaching out, grasping for a fleeting memory. All the thoughts keep piercing this broken mind. I fall, but I'm still standing, motionless. Far in the distance, there is light, a light that burns these scars of old. All this pain reminds me of what I am. I'll live, I'll become all I need to be. Words that kill, would you speak into me with your breath so still? It makes me believe in the Father's eyes. Let me suffer now and never. Let me suffer now and never.
Oh jeez, I've caused a problem. Hi everybody, it's Brian.
You're here to cause problems on purpose.
Yep. I had to kill my. I was still listening to the stream for some reason. Like a fucking moron. Hey everybody, welcome to Metal Gear Monday, the Metal is Gear Monday, where we play Metal Gear Solid. But today, first off, it's Tuesday, and second off, today we're not gonna play Metal Gear Solid. Today we're gonna save Metal Gear Solid, or fix it, or rejigger it. We're gonna cut it up into pieces and then reassemble all of those pieces in a more interesting way.
We're in a lot of ways. What we're gonna do is like we're gonna rebuild Metal Gear Solid using what I consider to be like the cutting edge of technology and science. And like we're gonna do some things that, frankly, like there's gonna be some ethical questions of whether or not we should use these things to build Metal Gear Solid. But like we're gonna make it better, and we're gonna make it better for the betterment of all. Because I tell you that is the important thing. And when you hear those words, I want you to understand that is everything. Everything is innovation. Everything is advancement. Everything is rebuilding Metal Gear Solid using indie tabletop role-playing games.
We're gonna build a story to surpass Metal Gear.
Solid specifically.
With us today is our special guest. You just heard him. This is Jeff Stormer from the Party of One podcast, and also All My Fantasy Children. He is joining us today in this epic encounter.
Hi, everybody.
And also with me, as always, is August.
Greetings.
Let's see. I cannot physically make my headset any louder. I can move it closer to my mouth.
What's your like input volume and
maxed out, and also it's like almost clipping.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't know why it's quiet, Danielle. Sorry. I have no way of figuring out how this works. I forgot that I have a new headset, so all of my shit is fucked. So YOLO. So
much like Metal Gear Solid, all of the shit is fucked.
It's true. So today we are playing a game called Kubrick. It is by Ben Robbins.
No.
Ben Roswell.
Ben Roswell.
Sorry. There is
Roswell writes on Twitter. Ben, dear friend. I gotta say, on a personal note, like I bought Kubrick the day that it came out, and I've been looking for an excuse to play it literally ever since. Because if you were to like line up all of the things that are my jam in like a line and arrange those in like a chronological order and then release those as a PDF, like it very well might be Kubrick.
You can get it on itch.io/Roswell Writes. Right?
No.
What's their itch?
Is he Roswellian?
Oh, I think you're right. I think it is Roswellian.
Okay, yeah, it's Roswellian. Wait, no. Is it No.
Roswellian.itch.io/Kubrick, a post-adaptation game.
Boom, thank you, Jeff.
That's what I'm here for.
Well, he's Roswellians in some places and Roswell writes in others, and it's like, dang it. I always forget.
I should know this because I like just listened to Ben on like I think Ben's on the most recent episode of Champs in the Making. And he dropped like his shit like a number of times, and I'm historically very bad at this.
That's what I'm here for. That's
yep.
You brought me in as a designated hitter. You know,
yep.
we had the bases loaded. We had a great game, great property, great stream. I'm coming in. We're at a 0-3 lead. That's because, you know, I don't know what the 0-3 lead is in this metaphor, but I'm coming in to grand slam it and really, like, you know, piss off a bunch of Major League Baseball managers in the process.
So, Kubrick is a post-adaptation game. It is a game that is built on the Belonging Outside of Belonging system designed by Avery Alder. The basic idea of the game is that we have been asked to adapt a text to a brand new format, to elevate it beyond what it once was, and so your collaborators gather at a table, a literal or metaphorical table, and you begin to talk. You ask each other questions, ifs and whos and whys, and with confidence, you raise your voice to answer. Don't worry about the original intent. You toss fidelity out the window. Instead, you take on the role of the authors, designers, cinematographers, actors, and auteurs. You have wrest control of narrative you once observed, and you intend to do what you wish with it. After all, in order to adapt, you must be willing to commit betrayal. The most Metal Gear line in an RPG ever.
That's a fair point. That is a fair point.
If you told me Ben had lifted that from a Metal Gear game, I'd be like, yeah, probably. It's probably from Ghost Babel or something like that. So today we are going to be adapting the Metal Gear Solid franchise, but specifically kind of focusing in on Metal Gear Solid 5. Mostly because it's kind of the most central when it comes to the storyline, has the most implications going forward and backwards. Though we'll probably be touching on other games because it's really hard. It's Metal Gear, baby. You can't not fuck with the other games while you're fucking with one. So, fucking with the timeline is what we're all about here.
It's true.
So, let's go ahead and we're going to do our lines and veils. Our lines for this game are going to be homophobia and transphobia, racism, sexism, anti-Semitism, violence against animals, sexual assault, domestic violence or intimate partner violence, and unwanted pregnancy. And the veils, the things that we are okay with addressing, but might draw a curtain on, are steamy situations, graphic depictions of bodily harm, terminal illness, and violence involving children. Trigger warnings for what we'll probably be talking about because their content in the original text are pandemics, the military, possible nuclear war, and genetic experimentation is going to be a good one. Jeff,
Yes.
you probably know this game better than both of us.
I've read it probably 24 times, despite never playing it, because sometimes I'll just like reread it and be like, someday.
It's a good, quick little read. It's 16 pages. It's all thriller, no filler.
I can't tell you how many things that I want to play this game with, like how many properties. Like I have a lot of pitches for Kubrick games. I have a lot of things that I want to adapt.
Oh yeah, for surezies.
Right.
I definitely thought about just doing a live stream of this game immediately after The Rise of Skywalker came out because I was so fucking mad. So
I feel like it is a great game for that purpose, where it's a game of like, yo, we could fix this, right? Like it is a great game to like give this that context, like a play context around like, I'm pretty sure I can do this story better.
Yeah, exactly. We also don't have we also have the advantage of not needing to like deal with studios. We're just gonna make this thing how it should have been.
We are making Metal Gear Solid the movie, which is going to be an adaptation of really Metal Gear Solid 5. That's kind of our first adaptation, but I think calling it Metal Gear Solid the movie feels like the right like hook. That feels like your gotcha moment.
Mm-hmm.
See, here's the thing though. We call it Metal Gear Solid the movie, but it's actually like a 80-hour DVD of nothing but FMV cuts.
Yeah.
Fair.
It's
correct.
It's like an ARG, but you buy it on Blu-ray.
Okay, so let me go ahead and run us through like how the game is going to work.
Yes.
So we have chosen our source text. We are adapting this game. We don't have to be experts on the text, but we should be all comfortable like discussing it. We're going to be disrupting, translating, dismantling it. This is not something that we want to preserve. Just to like set the stage, we have all kind of re-engaged with this story to different degrees on our own since talking about doing this project. So the way that this is going to work, the first thing we're going to do is we have to set a baseline. We are approaching stories in different ways with different lenses. The first step into adapting this as a team is to set a shared point of reference. We're going to pick the things that we think must be included, the ingredients that are indispensable, There are no wrong answers. There are no perfectly correct answers. There's only what's right in the moment. So we are going to go through a series of questions, answer them as kind of quickly as possible. We'll all kind of be jotting things down on like a shared Google Doc as we kind of make notes. But also this stream will be our kind of shared document at the same time. And we're going to kind of lay out just kind of the core essentials of what has to be in the movie, so that we can then like move from segment to segment and we can kind of start to see how the movie is going to take shape.
And I'm going to try and get some of that text on screen for you guys. I've not done this before inside of OBS, so if it's terrible, I might abandon it halfway through, but I'm going to try and get you guys, once we figure out what these baselines are, I'm going to get them on screen so you guys are familiar with it like we are. But I might abandon. I reserve the right to abandon that plan immediately.
Okay, so the first major question is the questions that we're going to answer, and we can kind of answer all of these at once. We can kind of we'll take them point by point. I think is probably the best way to do it. This is a funny question for the game that we're adapting. What is the plot of the source text?
War, bad, guns, cool.
Yeah,
like
kinda.
if you had to break down, like for this one, we want to break down like the sequential series. Like what we think of if we were to think of the plot points in the story that are important. Like what are the beats of the story that are important? You know what I mean? Like we want to break down, like, because this is gonna give us a framework later on to be like, okay, we're in this scene, we're moving towards the next plot point, and then if we go off in a different direction, it's gonna give us kind of signposts to steer back towards.
Okay.
So what are the plot points that we think have to be in Metal Gear Solid the movie?
All right. So if we're going with the vague adaptation of Metal Gear Solid 5, I think the most important plot points are hitting the end of Metal Gear Solid 3, because it's going to be very important for an idea that that August and I are very married to.
Okay.
The main character moving on from that game and being a bit listless and finding a new companion in Kazuhira Miller. Them forming their own military organization and watching that rise. Being betrayed by old enemies and having that new empire be taken away from them. Jumping forward in time after both have the main character and Kaz have lost things important to them. Ocelot shows up. I don't know if that's actually a plot point, but he's here.
Sure.
He's
kind
of important to the game.
That's gonna segue us into the next question. So, but let's keep going through like what we think the beats are.
Yeah. They begin to rebuild their army. They come across a dark plot from their enemy. They examine that conspiracy. They confront their enemy and defeat him, which is not actually the climax of the story. After that defeat, they become paranoid, and we see a fall from grace.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's pretty much sums up the end of Metal Gear Solid 5, I feel like.
Yeah.
Also Quiet's here.
Yes.
So the beats to me that I want to add to that are important are like it is important to me that that like it is a plot point that the picture that we get of Big Boss is like an illusion, and like the discovery that is not a real thing, that is something that like he has been led to believe is a thing. That is important to me. Like that is an important like beat through the game that I think if we're making this adaptation, I want that to be like a consistent theme, and I want that to be like a plot point that exists.
Well, what I had kind of had in mind, because like there's a particular change that August and I we have floated about, and what kind of kind of pushed us to want to do this thing. Um, and I guess we can go. I don't know if we can lay it out here, because I know right now we're just kind of laying out the original text. But I think honestly, it's not necessarily the illusion actually, you know what? That's fine. I think the illusion of the illusion of the mantle of Big Boss. Because I was thinking, because like in my mind, Metal Gear Solid 5 is a lot about like legacy and what you push forward, and could be very interesting.
Yeah.
So like all right. So next question.
Yes.
The next question, who are the characters that the story cannot exist without? Like, who has to be in here? Who do we have to be addressing, including, featuring prominently? Like, who are the main characters that we're going to like break down throughout the story?
All right. So Jack / Big Boss.
Yep. Ocelot, we've already said Ocelot is important and here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kaz is also important here.
Yep.
Quiet. Eli and the boss. She's not technically in the game, but she looms large over it at the very least.
Yes.
Now, I would like to throw out one more.
Mm-hmm.
And in the spirit of the game, I know that there's a reason for this character to appear, but like I am throwing out that we cannot make this story without at least like prominently including on some level, even if it is like a cameo or like a late game appearance. Like, you cannot make Metal Gear Solid without like capital S Solid Snake. Just it has to be here. It is a Metal Gear story.
That's not.
And
I think an interesting thing would be like, so. Okay, yeah, well, let's put him down here, because I've got a pitch for not this movie, but this movie franchise, baby. I'm thinking big.
Okay. So are there any other characters that we think have to be here?
Well, Eli's Liquid, so Liquid's here.
Yeah.
I
feel like, okay, we probably should include a... No!
Oh, good.
God,
Fuck
no!
him.
What
Huey's
kind of
out.
monster do you think I am? Fuck that guy! No, I think we should include Skullface.
Oh, right! Oh, fuck, yeah, Skullface, the best villain in Metal Gear.
Yes!
How did I forget about poor Skullface?
I don't know.
Yeah, I love
Probably
him.
because, like, the game...
Kind of
well, I don't know, like... the game kind of forgets about him.
Yeah.
Back half, like...
Okay. Alright, any other characters?
D-Dog.
I don't think D-Dog's a character. Like, D-Dog can be there. I don't know if D-Dog needs to be on the list of characters.
If they were floated, they're on the list.
Okay, that's fair. D-Dog.
That is at the core, like, that is the spirit of Kubrick, is like that idea has been it's very I'm gonna self promo here, and self import, but like it's very the spirit of Kubrick is very AMFC. It's very All My Fantasy Children, in that like once you float a thing as once you float a pitch, like it is there because you have offered your perspective that like that element is important, and like it is part of betraying the text to say we are going to break this thing to make sure that these characters are prominently featured.
That's fair.
We are going to make the Metal Gear adaptation where these characters are like, or the Metal Gear Solid 5 adaptation that prominently features these characters.
In that regard, I must become the monster and suggest both Huey and Code Talker. We need that fall from grace doesn't happen without Huey.
You're right.
Also, I think Code Talker deserves more time.
You're also right. That Code Talker's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay.
And who else is Kaz gonna feed hamburgers to
It's true.
otherwise?
Yeah. That's gonna be a special feature on the DVD. Is Kaz's hamburger recipes. Okay. I think that's all the characters. If you guys can think of any more.
I cannot.
Okay.
Um, I can.
Okay.
Ishmael.
Are we not? I guess so. Yeah, Ishmael. Yeah.
I know that we were talking about Ishmael not having the same.
He's still
role.
there though, technically. Yeah, we can combine.
Yeah.
Like, we can get at these later. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're gonna fuck up all of this anyways. So.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What feelings does the work invoke? What strikes you?
Anger.
What strikes you as the tone? Each collaborator should add at least 2 feelings or tones. That's actually a very important part of the story. Is anger.
So I have 2.
Mhm.
The feelings that I want to evoke are the hopelessness of the cycle of war,
Mhm.
the sort of endless repetitive nature of there will always be a military establishment and there will always be a counterinsurgency, and by the time one has defeated the other, it will have taken its place. Because I think that is a feel like that kind of hopeless, that kind of watching. You talked about like the fall from grace. That's the specific feeling that I get from that. Is that feeling of like watching someone set out to make something different and fall into the same kind of loop and like tragic underpinning that is true of that, like it keeps happening again and again and again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I want to throw out is just funny as hell.
Irreverent, I think.
Irreverent is a good way to describe, because like in a lot of ways, like all of these are like, this story in particular is a story about like a guy washing up and literally just kind of being handed like a military industrial complex, and then like just literally like waking up in a hospital and proceeding to fail forward until somebody else shows up and shoots him in the head. And like that sort of
Well, and also like Metal Gear is just weird sometimes. It just takes itself seriously but isn't afraid to crack a fucking joke. And just be like point at how like look how weird this shit is.
And I also think like true to the, I mean like going literal with it, like all of the themes, if you take like the themes of Metal Gear, there's a reason that there's a character named Dr. Strangelove. And it's because everything in Metal Gear is pointed, like on some level is pointing towards, look how absurd this like self-serious universe is. Like there's a man who shoots bees at you.
Yeah.
And
like
and it's specifically to take the piss out of the things that are directly informing the work as well. A lot of times.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So I want to add in like that kind of irreverent is a good way to describe it. An irreverent sense of humor. That like no one in the, I want to float that like it is not it is that the universe is funny, the characters are not funny. It to me like the tone of that is to evoke a non-story it's the joke from Dr. Strangelove that there's no fighting in the war room. Like it's that like everyone is very serious and stoic, and like I am serious and stoic, and here is my bee gun that I shoot bees with. Like I am wearing a giant coat and I rollerblade with knives, and I'm also gonna like monologue about capitalism while on roller skates with knives and bombs. Like the fact that like they are these things that are nonsensical, and them being completely serious makes it funny.
You remember that time you fight the ex-president of the United States who has octopus arms with a samurai sword on top of the
Yeah.
Federal Reserve building?
Very serious moment. Like,
Uh,
have either of you ever seen the movie Shootout or Shoot 'Em Up?
Shoot 'em up. I have seen Shoot 'em up.
I love
I have
Shoot 'Em
not.
Up. Shoot 'Em Up. I adore the movie Shoot 'Em Up. I will say this. It is an action movie, like a shoot 'em up action movie, that the lead character, Clive Owen, plays a character that is deliberately and intentionally in this like super violent, bloody shoot 'em up movie is deliberately playing Bugs Bunny.
Is that the one where he has to take care of a baby the whole time?
Yeah, he's taking
Yeah.
care of a woman and a baby, and like they are deliberately making Clive Owen like they start him out. He appears on a bench and he takes a big Bugs Bunny bite of a carrot,
Yeah.
and like carrots are like an ongoing thing for his character because they directly like are like this character is Bugs Bunny except he shoots people, and that is the tone that I think Metal Gear Solid the movie should have.
Yes, I
Fair.
feel that. Because you still get invested in that story.
Yeah.
But we can't. There's no way you can do some of this shit that we're gonna do straight faced.
Agree.
Yeah.
There's a man named Skullface who has a skull for a face.
Right.
So, my two feelings are betrayal, because I feel like that's an important part of the story, and legacy.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
You said anger, and I feel like that's all.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, because we're not talking about what we're trying to achieve here. We're talking about what the work as it is
Mhm.
evokes, and
Well,
God,
I mean,
that
frankly, that's an important part of Kaz's character throughout the entire story.
true.
Yeah.
But also,
yeah.
to get more to kind of lean in on it a little bit, like this is also, it's not even so much like what the story should evoke, it's what we want, it's also what we want the movie to evoke,
Okay,
right? Like it
that's
is
fair.
like
I
it is
thought
also it is also like your this work, what do you feel when you engage with this work? Like in a lot of ways, like that is just as important as like what the text is saying, is what the thing makes you feel when you watch it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what my other thing that I kind of want to put here would be.
It's Wife City Atone.
I mean,
No
yes,
bottoms.
but
Is no bottoms on Mother Base, or no tops on Mother Base Atone.
yeah. Yeah.
We came up with a lot of weird jokes about Metal Gear Solid after playing the entire franchise.
That's fair. I get it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
fine with this.
Yep. We determined that there were no tops on Mother Base. Like, there are none.
Absolutely none.
Except for Quiet, I guess.
Yeah. I do think that one of the important things that the series is trying to evoke is trying to engender empathy for people who are like put in violent situations that they don't necessarily have any control over.
Okay. Okay. I can definitely, I like that a lot, and I think that feels like it's going to, like, if we really kind of play with that, I think it's going to make for some very interesting contrasts with like everything else that's on the table.
Right, because like Metal Gear Solid 3, Peace Walker, and 5 are very concerned with like the idea of the soldier as like as the cog in the war machine, and how like the war machine just chews up human beings, both civilian and in the military, and just chews them up and uses them for their own devices.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
in MGS 2 and 5 in particular, there's an emphasis on child soldiers, like explicitly. Like, I mean, yeah, we know that Solid was harvested as a young child to do this, but we've got Raiden, and we've got all of the child soldiers that we encounter throughout 5.
Right. Okay, cool. What are images that stand out to you from, or what are images that stand out from your source text? Each collaborator must name one. All right, I'm gonna get out of the way. We can all pick an extra one. Metal Gears. We'll just put Metal Gears down.
That wasn't mine at all, and I'm gonna go out. I might possibly be. I can't imagine this isn't in MGS5. I know the visual I'm gonna go with, but I can't imagine that like it doesn't appear, and that is. Some motherfuckers gotta hide in a box.
Yeah. Oh god. You have 8 different kinds of boxes.
Like the visual of, and I think this ties perfectly back into what I'm talking about, the kind of absurdity and irreverence of like the seriousness and the gravity and the very kind of stoicism that is given to hiding in a cardboard box. Like that to me feels, going for like to point to other sources again, that to me feels very Coen Brothers, right? Like, which I think is kind of a vibe that I think I was trying to get at, is like the picture of like your square jawed, your Kiefer Sutherland hero crouching in a refrigerator box and scuffling along the floor is something that I could see, like I could see that in a Coen Brothers film, and not when they're making a Fargo,
right?
Or maybe specifically when they're making a Fargo, because Fargo is a funny as hell movie.
It's true. I feel like
I think
Fargo the series really has that same sort of vibe as Metal Gear. Of just like everyone is very serious and all these weird shit keeps happening.
Yeah, the weird shit keeps happening.
Sorry, I
So-
didn't mean to interrupt you, August.
So I am putting this in here because despite all of my wailings about why is this game so gross about women, I do think that this is very important. Attractive women with very large guns.
Okay, yeah,
Yep.
right, absolutely.
Because, well, I love Quiet. I love The Boss. I loved Fortune.
Sniper Wolf.
Sniper Wolf. So yeah.
I'm glad we didn't play Metal Gear Solid 4. It would maybe soured your opinion on this. Well, Meryl comes back in Metal Gear Solid 4, so.
Meryl had her own problems,
That's true.
other than the fact that, she got her entire knee shattered, but was still walking fine a few hours later. It's cool.
And that's like an anti-material rifle that fucking... She should have lost that leg immediately.
Yeah.
Anyways. I mean, it's an action movie at the end of the day, so...
Yeah.
Guns only do what you want them to. My image is like the back, like a sort of front lit silhouette of the hero standing against some sort of like desolate landscape, be it the desert or the Alaskan tundra or the like impenetrable jungle or the ocean, like on Mother Base. Like there's always sort of that vibe of no matter how big your team is, it always feels like you against the world.
I have one more visual that I'd like to name, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
What I think is, in my mind, like to Jeff Stormer, and that is what is important to this game, is not what is universally acknowledged, but what is important to us. The most important, the standout moment to me of playing Metal Gear Solid, the moment that like cemented that Metal Gear Solid owned and would always own, and why I still think fondly of this franchise that is a nonsense factory is, and this is something that probably won't directly recreate. It's an image that will not appear in the film, but it is the image of the text box appearing on screen when Psycho Mantis says you've swapped out your memory card. That like direct breaking of the fourth wall and like direct kind of like acknowledgement of like, we know this is a game and we are like you, like we are playing you as much as these characters are playing each other, was like an important moment for me. Like that was a moment when I went, oh, games can do that.
I would like to posit that that could be kind of translated onto the screen through something that the new Ghostbusters, the one with all the ladies did, which frankly that movie ruled, by the way. I don't care what you say. But for the DVD release, in the letterboxing, if there was a ghost doing something particularly flashy, the ghost's special effects would break the letterboxing.
Oh, that's very cool.
Oh, that's very
So
interesting. I think it would be like you could always do something too, because like early in that game when you're trying to get Meryl's codec number, the way you originally did that on the PS1 was Colonel Miller was like, "Look at the box. It's got the it was literally on the back of the actual CD case."
Yeah.
oh my god.
Remember, I had to like look up an image of the CD case when we were
Oh
playing through
yeah.
it, because I totally
my
forgot about that
God.
part.
Yep, that is, and that type of stuff where like it plays with you is an important visual, like an important element of the story to me. And I kind of think it's something that the Metal Gear games stopped doing. But like that experience was so like crucial to me. Like it is Metal Gear Solid's lasting influence on me.
That's fair. I think they evolved it because, like, I feel like they play with expectations of what a game is very well. Because, like, in the first one, they break the fourth wall a lot. In the second one, there's all of the like, is this real? Is this actually a simulation? You're playing this. Like, they kind of like break down the divide of what the character in the game is doing and what you as the player are doing. And I feel like they bring that same vibe back in Metal Gear Solid 5. Metal Gear Solid 3 has less of that. Well,
It's what I think MGS does best.
it's true. It knows it's a game, and god damn it, you're going to remember that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to throw out a final visual which I think translates to a movie adaptation very well, which is the image of a snake slithering with a sultry woman singing over it.
The Snake Eater theme has to be there somewhere.
Absolutely.
Just write down the Snake Eater theme. It's a vibe. It's a visual.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Alrighty. Anyone got anything else?
That's it for me.
What are things that work in the text? What setting elements, forces, or groups drive the narrative forward? I was not prepared for this question.
Well, I mean, we've got, the Patriots, we've got Russia, we've got
Cypher.
Cypher.
The war, like the war machine, like we already talked about, like the war machine and like the sort of like I think that the sort of real world like the Cold War, I think, is one that like is heavily present, and I think there's like is like a prominent thing that is going to drive the narrative forward.
Right, because Metal Gear kind of like latches onto the idea of the Cold War and then kind of spins it in metaphor or blows it up to like epic proportions, but they're still talking about basically the same things. And like do a pretty good job of like being like, hey, you know that the Cold Wars are just how large nations deal with each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Like, oh,
I
you think
think
the
that,
Cold War ended? Hell no.
and I think that sort of nihilism is like a very is like a thing that drives a lot of the kind of stuff that we're talking about, of like the falling from grace and the like characters building things and having them fall. And like you said, like characters keep being consumed by this ongoing thing, because it's coming from a perspective of like, this is always going to exist, which is like, I think is like a very strong like narrative force.
Right. Um, I think less so. I don't know if we necessarily need to jump around to two different like locations, but like both Mother Base works real. I think is a great setting.
Hmm.
It's evocative and interesting and very indicative of like the kind of the weird outside of the box thinking of like Metal Gear. And then also like 1980s Afghanistan is pretty real, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I think that makes sense.
um Skullface works great. At least
Yeah.
in the first half of the game, Skullface is great. He's the only Metal Gear villain with like understandable motivations, whose megalomania like makes sense. Um, uh, and his voice actor does a fucking killer job, and he looks dope.
Yeah.
Let's see. I guess we don't necessarily need to like build up Cipher as much.
Stop that.
Because Cipher turns into like the fact that Cipher is like Cipher, the Patriots, and the Lolly Lele Low, like they're all the same thing is really confusing, and I don't think
Yeah.
is necessary. Is when we're trimming this into like a good like movie sort of thing, I don't think is necessary unless we adapted like you would have to like start it. People are going to be less accepting in a movie of like like somebody saying the lolly lele low over and over again with no explanation as to what it is. So, um, what setting elements, forces? I like I like the reoccurring idea of nuclear war.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't have Metal Gear without commenting on nuclear war and nuclear armament. It is core and intrinsic to the franchise, going all the way back to the MSX.
I feel like that's a good list.
Yeah,
I
we can
I don't
definitely
know if
build
I have
something.
anything. I don't know if I have anything more.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Okay. Oh God.
So now we're gonna write a single sentence description of our source text, beginning with our source text is. So our source text is Metal Gear Solid 5.
Mhm.
What else do we want to say about it if we're writing a single sentence? If this is the truth of the single sentence truth of what we are talking about, like if you had to boil down Metal Gear Solid 5 into a single sentence, one sentence that like we could look back at and go like, are we telling a story about this? What is that sentence?
Hmm.
Our source text is an examination of the horrors of war through its legacies.
I like that, and I'd like to add focused on how focused on how I don't know. I feel like I want like the focus on like how our hero becomes the villain of his own story. You know what I mean? Like that story I think is important.
Okay, how about this? Let me riff on what you said there, Jeff. So our source text is an examination of the horrors of war through its legacy, told from the point of view of somebody who lives long enough to see themselves become the villain.
I like it. It's good.
Yeah.
Yep. Because to me that is the important thing about Metal Gear Solid 5 is that
Yeah.
you are watching someone yeah, you're watching someone with the best of intentions do all the things that they think are right, and you don't realize until you don't realize until it's too late that they have forsaken everything that they stood for.
Mm-hmm.
By the end, chronologically, by the end of that game, the next game in the franchise is your big boss, the main bad guy of In Solid Snake is here to kill you.
Yeah.
So it would be great if they gave, which also means that the Metal Gear in the first Metal Gear somehow saw Philanthropist, but whatever. Timeline doesn't have to make sense.
It's Metal Gear Solid, where the timeline's made up and the plot points don't matter.
All right, are we ready to move on to the next piece?
Yes.
Are we ready to
Lindsay
plan?
says you're very good with words, August.
Aw, thank you.
Let's plan our disruption. So this is how now that we've laid out like how we're going to be a loyal adaptation, now we're going to lay out how we're going to blow it up. We're going to lay out how we're going to smash it with a hammer. Like we are consciously not making us a loving adaptation of this content. Like we are making our adaptation of this content. Original content be damned. So the first question, we have a few more questions to answer. The first of which is, what from the original text do we want to elevate, heighten, or enhance?
The boss.
Yeah.
I want to throw out the boss, but like specifically, I want to also add to that. Like I want to elevate the boss, but I also want to elevate the hypocrisy of the boss. Like I want it to be, it to be kind of clear. And I think for me, like as I think it through, like that is part of where, like for me, like I think a vein of comedy comes from is like watching a character be completely and deliberately oblivious of how evil they are and like the compromises that they are making. Watching a character make those trade-offs and kind of do it gleefully is important to me. So that's why that's the kind of hypocrisy that I want to make that trade-off of like, yep, I'm doing the good guy stuff. What are we doing? Cool. Yeah, I'm down with that.
Oh, we stole the giant robot, the giant nuclear warbot? Yeah, that's fine.
Seems the right.
Who should have it other than us? Of course we could blow it up.
No, we took it so that they can't blow it up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, they want to do what? Well, then we're going to blow this fucking mech up.
Let's see. Do you have one, August?
I'm trying to not have it be attractive women with very large guns.
It can still be that.
Can I actually? I can throw out an idea related to that like I could be kind of a little blunt with.
Sure.
I wouldn't mind like heightening or making intentional or making kind of artful in a way that is not this has to appeal to, and I say this word with all the venom and bile that it deserves, gamers.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like you can do something, like you can do a lot with, to put it bluntly, how horny the Metal Gear, like there's a lot of like sex in that, and like I think that like it is done badly. Cause like for me also like a big part of that is I was thinking about like Metal Gear Solid, like the basic Metal Gear Solid today, and like it's the story of like a hot guy in a tight jumpsuit with a cute butt like sneaking around. Like, that's Metal Gear to me. That's my Metal Gear.
It's true.
Is that dude's got junk in his trunk and he's gonna snap a dude's neck.
Which is
So
why
there's,
I
like-
was so excited when they said they had. I heard a internet rumor that they wanted to get Oscar Isaacs to play Solid Snake in like a Metal Gear adaptation. I'm like, yes, please.
Beautiful man.
So
Beautiful
good.
man. Like, I think there's something to be done with the fact that, like, and like I think there is like intentional ways that like you can tie those kind of concepts together.
Yeah, because like the way that the series handles, at the very least, like the treatment of the horniness towards women is just really bizarrely done.
Yeah,
It is.
It's
And I
so
think, like,
fucking weird.
and I think like you can do some really interesting things if you're consciously being like something that I think the games that I think would elevate it is if we kind of right here, right now, just said everyone is hot. Like, everyone is exceedingly unnecessarily hot.
Yeah.
And like that's just like the universe that they live in.
Especially Skullface.
Skullface, hot. Hot Skullface.
Listen, Skullface is already hot. His outfit is like.
I just had the horrible cursed thought of like D-Dog with anime Bishonen eyes.
Anime Bishonen Eye.
You're right. Well, there is that one skin.
No, that
but...
skin's not canon. He wears a little eye patch. The dog must also wear an eye patch. I would like to maybe elevate or I guess maybe recontextualize the ideas of parenthood, but parentheses, but not gross like in the games.
I like that. Yeah. Well, and I like that because, like, yeah, I think that, yes, I agree. I think there's ways to do that artfully.
Yes.
Because they get so close to interesting ideas of parenthood, and then they veer off into some fucking buck wild direction.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Moving on. What things from the original text do you wish to ignore, remove, or erase? I have a big one.
Yes.
We are erasing the death of the boss.
Yes.
Is it too easy to say the phrase breathes through skin? Is that too easy?
Okay, here's the thing. Like, I don't mind the phrase breathing through skin because it could be done really interestingly. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with that. It's just that
technically both the end and Code Talker both do the same thing.
Oh, also important to note, do you know who else does the same thing? And this is a canon fact that I want to gift to the both of you in this moment.
Oh boy. Hang on, let me prepare myself.
Get ready, because it's gonna delight the both of you.
Okay.
Canonically, a canonic breathe through their skin person. Arguably, I would say the most famous person to breathe through their skin in the history of media. Krillin. That is a canon fact.
God damn it.
Toriyama has said that is why Krillin doesn't have a nose, is because he breathes through his skin.
God fucking damn it.
It is also canon that he doesn't have a nose because he uses that in the World Martial Arts Tournament to win a match. So therefore he has to not have a nose and has to breathe through his skin.
Jesus
not through his
fucking
mouth.
Christ.
Like, perfectly good mouth right there.
Nope, skin. That's how he talks. It's because he's breathing through his skin.
Alright, is this where I make the other big change that I want to make, or does it fit
Yes.
more on the other? It might fit. We might need to put this on the next line. Not only does the boss not die at the end of Metal Gear Solid 3, but Big Boss does. And she's haunted by the idea of, like, her apprentice not being able to kill her. or needing to kill her apprentice. She failed utterly at the end of Metal Gear Solid 3. It doesn't get to die anyways. She has to live with it. I don't know. Is that too weird? Hello?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean,
thank God. I thought you guys were gone. I'm like, shit, I've lost my internet.
no,
Okay.
you have not.
Okay.
No, I mean that
Mhm.
I am 100% down for that. Also, Jeff, if you do want to strike the phrase breathe through skin, we totally can.
No. If you've got interesting approaches for it, I am all ears.
I honestly, Quiet's powers are super weird and cool. It just doesn't make sense that two other characters in canon do the same thing, but they can wear clothes.
That's also fair.
Yeah.
That's it. We're putting Code Talker in a string bikini and fishnet, or not Code Talker, the end.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Both of those wrinkly old men.
In string bikinis and fishnets.
Yeah.
The thing that I want to excise,
Mhm.
thing that I am not interested in is it is I don't know. This might be me doubling down on what I've already kind of thrown out, but like actually no. I'm redacting my statement. I was going to say the moral rightness of the character that you're playing, like the Metal Gear games have this kind of tendency to do the thing where they're like, yeah, you're doing terrible things, and it turns out you're probably right, and but I think that there's interesting things to be done with the perception of that, so I want to keep that on the table.
I think what's very interesting is they present that idea in Metal Gear Solid 5, and at the very end they're like, no.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was getting, why I realized I wanted to roll back.
Also,
that
I don't
suggestion.
feel like. Also, I feel like at the end of Metal Gear Solid 3, that idea is subverted as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, Jack does not feel good he doesn't feel like he did the right thing at the end of that game. He feels like that whole mission was bullshit. So, honestly, the only character who's like, I'm right and I did the right thing is like Solid Snake. And
Correct. Fair.
he's the reason he's the good son.
Yeah. He's the himbo son. It's fine.
Then I'm gonna actually float it out. I want to redact Solid Snake being right. Like, I want to redact the belief that I want to redact Solid Snake being a hero, because the end of the day, Solid Snake is the next piece of this puzzle of you are going to do the thing. If you are involved in this cycle, this is where you are going to end.
He is the replacement cog in the war machine for Big Boss.
Yeah, and I think that not having a downfall feels fake to me.
Though technically now Solid Snake is a lady.
I'm fine with that.
We have to, if Big Boss dies but the boss lives, then Les Enfants Terribles has to be clones of the boss, right? Like, why would you clone the dead guy?
Yep.
That means we also get posh British schoolgirl Liquid Snake. So
I want to strike through the way that women tend to get fridged.
That's fair. I feel like that ties very nicely into the boss not dying. If it is if that is the story that we're telling, I think that ties in very nicely.
Yeah. Though at the very he doesn't get a lot of credit for this because he kills off a lot of fucking women for dude's motivations. At least they do a really good job of building the boss up as a character before they kill her through Metal Gear Solid 3. You understand why the fuck she does all that shit. But Kojima also doesn't undo the mountains of other dead ladies that Kojima has on his hands.
Yes. I also want to and this goes kind of hand in hand, I want to strike through the weaponization of motherhood, because motherhood gets used against at least two kind of major
3 women.
3 women. Yeah.
It gets used against Olga, Fortune, and the boss.
I have one more thing I want to cross out. I think that the games have, and I think we have talked talked a lot about this. I want to strike through the notion that like this is like an unescapable thing, if that makes sense. Let me see if I can like break down like what I mean. Like the games all kind of, it's like you were saying earlier, like the perspective of like Cold War is the natural state and this is just how things get done. Like I want to strike down the notion that like I want to strike down the notion or like make it clear with this adaptation that like that is nonsense.
Right.
Like, that is a justification for like that you are already in this and making these compromises.
Yeah, because like in series, so for like series context in Metal Gear Solid 4, technically the war machine is finally broken at the end of Metal Gear Solid 4, but because they basically destroy the fucking world to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like
And
it's
so,
just
like,
because they destroyed everything because everything became the military industrial complex.
And so like the idea that like I want to make clear that that is a justification people are making because they want this cycle to continue.
Cool. Love it.
Yep.
All right. I'm sure we can strike through so many more things about Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
But all right. So, what are 3 things that you wish to insert, incorporate, or enfold into the original text?
Well, more ladies.
More ladies. Yes.
With that, yep.
Yep.
Intentional comedy, like more comedy of like absurd character rather than just like absurd scenario.
Yeah, maybe some like just straight up jokes.
Yeah, like Cohen brothers is a good is kind of the vibe that I have in mind of like what I want to fold in is like Burn After Reading, like specifically like Burn After Reading, where it is very serious characters like pushed to silly points and like reacting to things in that like that seriousness pushing them into absurdity.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of intentional comedy that I want to like fold in more of.
Okay.
It is important that I hide in this box, and we get like this shot from inside the box of his face as he like, but then we get the shot outside the box where like it's just a cardboard box shimmying along the ground.
Possibly with a little bit of a squeaking noise.
Yeah, like
have you seen the thing in Metal Gear Solid 5 where you can add pictures to the box?
That's very good.
So what you can do in Metal Gear Solid 5, you can add like pictures of a sexy lady or a guard, and when you stand up in the box, it like is like a cardboard cutout of a person. Dudes will like salute you.
Like that shit's funny. Like that type of thing. Like where it like it's like because it highlights that this is all like posturing.
Yeah. Okay. More ladies, more intentional comedy.
Sir.
I don't know. I don't. I
Yeah, I think the problem is like with MGS, you have such a sprawling
Yeah, it's such a
thing to
macro
begin
style.
with.
Yeah, it's such
Like,
a
what else can we cram in there?
I think I'm gonna add in. I think I want to enfold into Metal Gears. I want to enfold into Metal Gear Solid 5 the going back to what I was saying about like the image that stood out to me. I want to fold in more metafiction into specifically the Metal Gear 5 story.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I want to like the look at the back of the box,
Oh,
your
okay.
you swapped out cards, like more acknowledgement that like this is a fictional thing. Like I want to like have like put those things deliberately, like more so than just like subverting expectations of Metal Gear. I want to also like add back in those meta elements of like this is a movie and we are deliberately like
You get
putting
like a
that out
play.
here.
You get a playbill when you come into the movie, and it's got a number that you can text. So when Solid Snake gets like a text on his communicator, and he looks at it, but we don't show it on screen, and then you have to pull it up on your actual fucking phone.
Stuff like that, or like a moment where like um a thing happens that could not possibly happen in history, and like or yeah, like stuff happens that couldn't happen in history, and like we like kind of wink at that fact in the way that I hate that I'm gonna make this reference because the person there's a movie that I like that I liked at one point that was a World War II movie that ended with them deliberately providing a more satisfying ending to World War II. I'm not
Yes.
gonna say what the movie is. I'm just gonna say like that type of thing where we deliberately go like to hell. This is based in history, but to hell with that real history. This is what's being told.
Right.
And
This
we
is
kind of use that to kind of like needle at the audience a little bit.
right. Exactly. This is a franchise that in the 1960s, a Russian like a rogue Russian operative built a giant mobile nuclear war tank on an
Yeah.
island that's somehow a jungle island off the coast of Russia.
Oh, do you know what I want to fold in?
Mhm.
Do you know how I want to fold in these meta elements?
How?
I want the thing that never happens in MGS, or that like I think I would want to happen more in MGS, especially as it starts to be like this is where it happens in history, is like the news. I want to see like the news reports of like Russia has built a goddamn nuclear tank, and I want that to be the metafictional element of like a clip of Walter Cronkite being like, "Well, Russia's got a nuclear mech."
I want Walter Cronkite to say the words, "A rogue Russian operative has built a mobile tank named the Shagohod."
Like that feels like such a good metafictional element to like emphasize like this is absurd. What we are telling you is absurd to have like 70s news reports of like well, Skullface called that because his face is a skull.
There was a large in Afghanistan reports of a large humanoid-shaped object.
Yeah, like that stuff is like to me, that feels like the opportunity. That's what I want to fold in. Is like if we're gonna base this in the real world, I want the world to interpret these events.
Right, I like that.
Because I think that will also make it funnier. If like if these tragic things are happening and we're just getting like snippets of news reports like, well, Skullface.
Yep.
Love it.
See Highlander,
Yes.
the
Yes.
greatest movie ever made. My actual favorite movie. There's the fact that they have news reports in Highlander where they're like, well, somebody had their head cut off in Madison Square
Two
Garden.
motherfuckers with swords.
Two guys with swords. One of them is his headless body, and it's like, oh, this is nonsense.
Cool.
So can we cast Clancy Brown as Skullface then? Like Highlander era Clancy Brown?
That is a real good casting.
Especially because when I first heard Skullface, I thought he was voiced by Clancy Brown.
I don't know why they didn't get Clancy Brown to voice Skullface.
Honestly, you could do Clancy Brown now. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna CGI his face, and it's not like he's lost his voice.
It's true. We're gonna cover his face in weird prosthetics, anyways. He's gonna
True.
look like '80s Skeletor from the like live action movie,
Oh my god.
but with like a little domino mask.
Alright, so what texts or sources are closely connected with our source text?
Unfortunately, Danielle has cursed me.
Okay.
Homestuck.
Me, Brian. I'm not gonna say no, don't put it down, but me, Brian, needs a little bit of elaboration.
I will
Okay.
So fuck you,
I will
Danielle.
also preemptively say that I have a lot of pop culture touchstones. Homestuck, I've read three pages.
You're lucky.
Me too,
Included.
Jeff.
Most all of my Homestuck experiences that I have attended anime conventions in the last 20 years.
Is it because of like the weird meta narrative elements, or just how complicated it goes back on
It's-
itself?
It's it has a bunch of weird meta narrative elements. It has a kind of sprawling cast of characters, many of whom have really weird names. It has an incredibly bananas and intricate plot that, in my opinion, you could ultimately boil down to friendship good. But
Kind of like Metal Gear War Bad.
yeah, exactly.
I'm cool including this. You've convinced me that I'm fine with this.
Same here. I knew that August would come through. I just needed it.
I'm trying to think.
Wait, are
There's
those is what Lindsay posted? These are just some like listen. These are not
So-
as weird names as like Revolver Ocelot. The End. Let's see.
I'm gonna throw out one.
Okay.
That I'm gonna throw out the Venture Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that for all of its absurdity, for all of its like larger than life happenstance, it is a story of broken people dealing with their own failures. And like all of these like larger than life trappings, like underneath the thin layer of, in Venture Brothers cases, superheroes, and in Metal Gear's cases, it's war machines. Like underneath that, it is broken people. It is broken people like struggling against the weight of their own failures and failing to connect with to make the basic human connections that would undo that level of pain and hurt and failure.
Right. And also riffing on the ideas of like pop culture.
Yeah.
Well, Venture Brothers does it with like pulp fiction, superheroes. Metal Gear does it with like action and spy movies.
And like James Bond stuff. Yeah.
What is my outside touchstone? It's Gundam.
Which Gundam? All of them?
007,
I know you
like
were-
Universal Century Gundam. So like Gundam, Zeta Gundam, Double Zeta, 8th MS Team.
I was gonna say, I think Wing also really fits.
Wing honestly is it is very like it has a universe that is also very similar to like
And
UC.
it's also that same sort of idea of that sort of cycle of like you are going to become what you have fought against, like is very present in Gundam Wing. Like the heroes, the wing squad, all like the show is very quick to be like, hey, y'all know you are dropping robots onto like people, and you've increasingly been reckless around like the rules that you stated for yourself about like how you're gonna do these things.
Right, exactly. The way I like to put it is like Gundam, like the best Gundam series and also Metal Gear is about broken people who really want peace and only have the tools of war to make it.
Yeah, 100%.
So
Which is also, I think, a good way to describe Venture Brothers, except instead of peace and war, it is like it is mundane life and superheroes.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I feel good. I feel
Okay,
good
we have
about
to
this.
write one more sentence. Oh God.
What do we want people to walk away from our adaptation having? We want to write a sentence that is, we want people to walk away from our adaptation having blank.
Um.
I've got one if you don't.
Yeah,
If you
go
want
for
me.
it.
To see that war is a pointless endeavor, the people that pursue it are motivated only by themselves, and that those who engage in the cycle will inevitably become part of it and destroy themselves.
Can you type that?
Yes, I can. Does that feel good? Do we feel good about that? Yep,
Yeah.
Yep, in the wrong spot.
Bleh. What are you watching? Oh, okay. Okay. I thought I heard David Attenborough.
No, I want it smaller. There we go. Oh God.
That to me is the thesis of Metal Gear. Do we
Sorry,
feel good
I'm
about
putting
that?
things on screen.
Yeah.
I feel good about that. All right, that's the best I can do. Sorry, stream. Oh God, I moved the whole thing. Okay,
Bleh.
I'm so bad at.
I think that looks great. I think that fits. I think that's good.
Yeah.
Ooh, what's this graphic underneath?
That's just like the the Roomware logo.
I thought it was the Kingdom Hearts graphic was underneath.
Oh, it actually might be the Kingdom. Oh, it is the Kingdom Hearts graphic
I
underneath.
thought I was like, I'm pretty sure Jeff Kevin killed Fraser is on that graphic.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And all
All
of the
right.
things I piled on top of it. All right, there we go.
All right, so now we are into the game into gameplay. The
Okay.
primary method of play is discussion and questioning. We're going to start with the first scene that we've laid out, and we're going to ask questions about it. We can jump down into the scene level, playing out roles and characters and forces to answer questions, or we can just kind of like keep talking through things and keep like adding wrinkles. If we feel like we really want to like dig in and like see how something plays out, we can role play it out. We can kind of jump from big picture to individual scene as we go. And this is also where we are going to get into the mechanics of the game, of the play portion, which are moves. So there are some notes on play, which are move freely from higher meta levels of play to role play and back. If we need to jump to another scene to answer our question, we can do that. We can skip around like the story. If we are finding we've established things earlier in the movie that aren't working, we can excise them. We want to be like describing the aesthetics of the movie, images, smell, sound, feel as much as actions. And we want to avoid giving concrete answers about setting or world building. We want to live in kind of the atmosphere of it. We want this to be like a timeless adaptation.
Okay, cool.
Some questions that we can ask. So go ahead.
One quick thing. Do you guys want to take a quick break? August, you've got to feed a little bit.
You can tell by the way that he keeps rubbing my mic stand, huh?
Well, no, I just know it's 8:30. That's when you feed a little bit. We've been doing this stream for like 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go ahead and feed
Okay.
the children real quick.
All right, we're going to take a super quick break, just like a 5-minute break. August is going to feed a little bit. And then we'll be right back, and we're going to get into the meat of the gameplay.
If something disturbs us, we want to deny it. We want a rational explanation for it. If something disturbs us, we want to deny it. We want a rational explanation for it. If something disturbs us, we want to deny it. We want a rational explanation for it.
Hey everybody, we are back. So, um, so what we're going to do is we're going to get into the game. Can you give like a quick pitch of what you said just before we went to the break, Jeff?
Yes, I can. So we are going to be like actually going through the game. This is sort of the play sequence. What's going to happen is we are primarily going to be like talking through the game, questioning, asking questions, answering questions either just as part of the discussion or if we want to like dig into a scene to watch how something plays out, we can do that. We are free to jump around the timeline. We're going to start with our opening scene and then kind of like watch things play out, talk through things. We are free to change things that aren't working. We are free to throw things out. Nothing is sacred. We are going to like pay attention to like what's going on, our framing devices, our sights, our sounds, our smells, all the kind of things that make this an experience. There are a list of questions that we can ask. I can read those through. There are questions in the book that we can ask, including why does this character feel this way? What is this side character doing at this point in time? What other things could this symbol mean? What other interpretations of this canon line? How does this scene change if this character is not straight or cis? What happens if they make the other choice? What emotion can we draw from the scene? What does this make you feel? What does this bit of dialogue actually mean? And what if this image is a callback or reference? We are going to start with our opening sequence. We're going to describe the opening sequence, a series of shots, a montage, go through our starting point, where we are starting the story, and then we are going to get into play. Like once we've kind of established our opening sequence, then I will introduce sort of the primary gameplay mechanic, which are strong and weak move, or small and large moves.
So let me pitch you guys on this as an opening sequence. You remember
Yeah.
that I said I had a big plan that this wasn't just like this is a movie, but it's part of a franchise, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we announced that we were we are adapting Metal Gear Solid to the big screen. Now, obviously, Metal Gear Solid, you can't tell that story in one movie. That would be that we have some hubris going on, but we're not like, we're not that out of the thing. We're not M. Night Shyamalan with like fucking Avatar: The Last Airbender up in this motherfucker. So this is the middle movie of a 3-movie franchise where we started with Metal Gear Solid 3. And what we do is an opening scene, we find the boss, it like fades up on a hospital bed. 1980s, there's light David Bowie music. The Man Who Sold the World is like playing in the background. And we hear people talking about like the, oh, it looks like that they have military training, that sort of thing, and we get flashbacks to the events of Metal Gear Solid 3, right up until we get that hard cut of the boss pulling the trigger and killing Jack / Naked Snake / the man who would have been Big Boss. And then the camera pulls out to the boss sleeping in her coma at the beginning of the movie.
I'm down with that.
Dig it.
That way we remind all of the fanboys, yeah, we killed the guy you like. Not only, ha ha ha, ha ha ha, we got Metal Gear Solid and we fucked with it. We fucked with it so hard. And Kojima's sitting there somewhere like, yes, good.
So I would love to throw in a visual.
Okay.
That like I would like to throw in a visual because it is for me an important callback or call forward. Like to me, I have a callback that if you'd like I can introduce now or we can wait, but I think there's an important visual I want to throw out.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that is I want to open not on a hospital bed.
Mm-hmm.
I want to open on a long tracking shot of a military medic helicopter.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Flying to like a medical facility. I want to open on like a long shot of like an 80s old retro looking like medical helicopter. And the reason is I'm going to throw it out. The reason is I want the closing shot of this movie to be a long shot of a sleek, like Apache helicopter that ends with like a bit of dialogue and like a pan up to introduce Solid Snake.
Right.
That at this moment, like since we're not in play yet, like feels like big and like the big heroic reveal, right? Like that feels like oh shit, Wolverine is here.
Right.
But
Exactly.
by the end of this movie, I want that to feel like the ultimate like, and now the tragic cycle begins again.
I love that. I love that parallel a lot.
Yeah, I dig it. I dig it. Oh, actually, we could just take out. We could rejigger my thing with your thing. So the opening shot is this like, it's an Apache helicopter coming in, and it like kind of the camera pans up to reveal Solid Snake, and we hear like codec noise,
Mm.
and then we get the colonel being like, "Let me fill you in on your target." Big boss or the boss has like you're going into like like outer heaven, like this. We're like the beginning of this game isn't when we're pulling up this shot. You think that like we're beginning Metal Gear Solid, but what we're in fact doing is like setting up Metal Gear, like original Metal Gear, and
Mm-hmm.
then it's like. Here's the dossier on the boss, and then like the whole thing's kind of told as like sort of a flashbacky sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that because then we really get that experience of like, oh shit, Solid Snake. I'm so excited about this, and by the end of it, we have like thoroughly
Yeah.
undercut what that means.
Right, we realize how sad it is that he's gonna go in here and do this, or she's gonna go in here and do this thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
is
I mean,
important.
it could still be he. Like, there's nothing saying that Solid Snake can't be trans now.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I just need Liquid to be like this posh British lady.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm fine with like Also, it's cloning. Who cares?
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that visual that like we open on that. Yeah, this whole thing, because that makes it feel that kind of brings us back to that core sentence of like we are emphasizing that like this is not like a heroic story.
Right.
This is a fruitless endeavor. This is a cycle of misery that will continue to consume.
Right. We saw how the in movie 1, we saw how the boss failed her mentor. In movie 2, like at the beginning of movie 2, we're gonna set up how the boss fails her children.
Mm-hmm.
And then in
Okay.
movie 3, Solid Snake. I get if we're telling a 3-movie arc and we want to tell a hopeful story, Solid Snake kind of has to win in the 3rd movie.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I think I want it to be. I think I would want Solid Snake to win. This is
I think we would need to jigger. I think what we would need to do is jigger together, like elements of both Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 to get that story.
And I think that so actually this is a great opportunity to introduce moves because I'm about to make a move.
Go for it.
Moves are opportunities to deepen the text, establish tone, and create a sense of intertextuality. They are the groundwork needed for make our adaptation truly our own. Small moves are exactly what I just described because I misread. Small moves are opportunities to deepen the narrative, establish tone, create a sense of intertextuality. They are the groundwork needed to make our adaptation truly our own. Whenever we perform a small move, we are going to take a token. Small moves include referencing another text, reinforcing a sensory detail, transmuting a detail into something else, giving a line or action more context, pulling in an element from the source text, strengthening an existing connection, illuminating a minor event, giving a textual relationship more history, or highlighting a contradiction. So I want all three of us to take a token because I feel like we've done that.
Okay.
We have all done those things, and I'm about to make another small move. But large moves are chances to radically change how the story plays out, reframe the narrative, and explore the consequences. Large moves include changing a pivotal choice, betraying the source text's intent, revealing nuance not previously present, linking two things that were unconnected, breaking a series of events, reordering the story, rendering a seemingly major event unimportant, or changing or creating a relationship entirely. Those are how we're going to break the movie. So I want to make a small move right now.
Okay.
I want to remember what I was going to say. Oh, I know the text that I want to make, and it's appropriate. So I want to reference another Kurt Russell movie because they reference so many of them in Metal Gear Solid.
Yes.
Like they reference so many of them specifically in MGS2.
Mm-hmm.
I want to end the third movie
Hmm.
with a deliberate play on the ending of Escape from LA.
Yes.
The
Oh my
ending of
God.
spoilers for a 25-year-old movie.
And I feel like the underrated of those two movies, frankly.
I don't know. Escape from New York is really good. I do love.
I'm not saying Escape from New York is not good because it's great. I just feel like Escape from LA does not get as much love as it
It
should.
does not get the love that it deserves, especially because the ending is so good.
He
And the
surfs
ending,
through the canal.
Yeah.
the ending of Escape from LA does what I want the ending of Metal Gear Solid 3 to be, which is the, Snake finally gets the chance. Like the weapon falls into Snake's hand, and rather than perpetuate the cycle, he blows up the entire complex. That is how I want. That is how, if Snake is gonna walk away, like I want it to have the weight of like, this is like you are so deep in the system that like to escape this you are going to have to like dismantle. You are like, this is what it's gonna take. Is all of this has to go,
Right.
and then we can rebuild to something else.
Right. So maybe we in the third movie we like mush together Shadow Moses and Arsenal Gear.
Yeah,
So
I'm
Shadow
cool. Yeah,
Moses is Arsenal Gear.
and then we take. I want to take for the third movie. I want to take Raiden's arc and put it on Solid Snake, where Snake realizes that all of this is illusion, shadow play. All of this is simulation. All of this is, I want it made bluntly clear to Solid Snake that like, you are a cog. You are not going to change the system. The system exists. All of this, every piece of this puzzle exists. And for Solid Snake to push the button and blow it all to hell.
Yes.
Because
Love
that
it.
will be the ultimate satisfaction of like, we have done away with the military war machine.
Right. So are we just going to excise the idea? Like we're going to have like are we going to have a more nebulous? Well, actually, we can set up the idea of the Patriots way earlier than the games do, because the Patriots play an important part. Because I assume the first movie in this trilogy is just Metal Gear Solid 3 all the way up until the end.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like that game's good.
It's a self-contained story. It is a self-contained thing.
And we're pulling the rug out from under the viewer because they think they know what the ending's gonna be, and then the boss pulls the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think at the end of that, anyways, we'll get into it. But yeah, so but we can set up the idea of the Patriots, and then we set up some more of the Patriots in Metal, like in the second movie, and then we really pay off the idea of the Patriots in the third movie.
All right. Brian, I'm gonna have you take a token because you've pulled in an element from the source text.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I am gonna spend a token, and I am gonna drop something immediately in a very large way.
Okay.
I'm spending a token to make a connection that is not there before. I am saying that I think Skullface is a patriot. I think Skullface is part of the faction that has decided so much of this history. And like, that is where in this movie we introduce the idea that like there is a sector that is deciding, that is like shaping all of this, and he is a member of that has gone rogue.
Okay, that's actually that's textually what Skullface is in the actual text.
Well, then I'm taking a token because I've introduced an element from
that is literally Skullface's tower.
Well, all right then. Then I'm taking a token for introducing an element of the text. I think we make that like very. I think we play a lot into that, and we introduce that idea through Skullface as.
I think we excise the idea of the Major, and we replace, because like Skullface has a relationship to the Major from Metal Gear Solid 3, and Cypher, the Major, he has a very like he's a very confusing thing that we can really shore up. Like, so in the first game, the Major is, we can like maybe set up that the Major was working for the Patriots the whole time, which he was not in that game. And then in this one, Skullface is like working for the Major, defects, and then the third one maybe the major comes. Maybe like instead of Colonel Campbell, we have the major.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
So
All
you
right.
also
Well,
kind of
Brian.
play on that Metal Gear Solid 2 thing of the fake Colonel Campbell.
Well, now I'm gonna have you. Now I'm gonna have you spend a token because you just changed a relationship entirely.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Got it.
Now you're seeing, and this is kind of
Yes,
how the rest
I'm
of the
thinking-
game is
yeah.
going to work. Is we're going to build this story, and the way that it's going to be built the best is if we are constantly making small moves and using them to pay off our big moves. We want to be doing these things regularly to kind of build this economy.
I love it. I just galaxy brained the whole thing.
Oh boy.
Uh, August is scared. They now know I know the power. Okay, so let's move on from let's move on to big picture stuff, and let's
Yeah.
think of a small so we've got our establishing thing. We know where it sits in the the bigger 3-movie plot. So, but we're still kind of primarily focusing on the second movie, the story of the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
oh, go on. Sorry. Yep.
I super want to know how the hospital breakout sequence happens.
I have an idea for this. Okay, so we use maybe some we probably use some background characters. Like we hear doctors overhear doctors talking about she was hurt in an attack. We kind of establish why she starts off in the hospital, right?
Yeah.
And it becomes very clear that these agents are after her. We don't necessarily need to know who the agents are from yet.
Yeah.
But we do need to know that okay, somebody is after her. And I think honestly, the hospital scene plays out very similar how it does in the game, where she's groggily coming out of this coma, and then we in the background we see an agent quiet. It's still quiet.
Yes.
It's always going to be quiet.
Of course.
Quiet, garroting a fucking nurse, right? Because
Yes.
it's really good in the game. You're
Oh, yeah.
powerless to do anything about it.
Oh yeah, and I think that that sort of contrast is very good, and I want to. Okay, I would love to make a big move here.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to betray the source text's intent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to throw out a token to do that. This scene is pure comedy. This scene is the first scene where this is the first time where we are highlighting that this is highlighting that this is absurd. And the way that we're doing that is by having this it's one of my favorite comic tropes, which is a character is doing a serene thing. So we have this scene where of the door to her hospital room is open, and a doctor is talking to her, and she's just in bed, and in the background, and we see Quiet eliminate someone in the background and then run off. And we see that a few times, and the doctor is just reading through it seems you were struck in an attack, we don't know why, and in the background you just watch her snap a neck very MGS style, and we just periodically get that building using that kind of this is very calming. I'm giving you my bedside manner, and there are murders happening in view, out in the background of the shot.
You were 90% of the way how that actually happens in the game.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. We're making it intentionally funny.
It is more. Your way would be more funny. It's definitely played for tension in the.
And I want to play this for laughs in terms of playing it as a this doctor simply is not acknowledging that people are being murdered.
How about this? While this is all going on, Hey Mickey is playing over the radio instead of The Man Who Sold the World.
Yep.
Yes, much. Yeah, there we go. That real the music will change that entire scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So does it still turn when Quiet goes to after she kills the doctor and she goes to attack the boss? Do we just drop out of this funny comedy thing into a more scary sort of thing, or do we keep the comedy going?
I would like to have it drop into something more scary just because I don't want to undercut Quiet's character so early on.
Yeah.
I think that feels right. I think that I think we've introduced the absurdity of this scenario of we've introduced the absurdity of the violence, and now it is time to. So we've almost I agree with you very much, because I think what we've done is almost make the audience think that we're going to take this flippantly, and then we flip the switch and it becomes extremely serious.
Okay. So then I think maybe it plays out the same. So Quiet jumps or starts trying to kill the boss, right? And then she gets jumped by a guy in bandages.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's weird because this guy in bandages has the same voice as whoever the fuck we cast as Jack in the first movie. But that guy's dead. So this is okay.
What we're gonna do is we're going to hire the people from the Marvel Studios who did the age regression on Kurt Russell, and we're gonna put Kurt Russell in the hospital bed next to
What we can
next
do,
to the boss.
It can still be Kurt Russell. We just cover his face in bandages. We don't have to spend that money.
That's right.
Ishmael is covered in bandages the whole time. It's fine.
Yeah,
Just
it's fine.
We'll have blown the entire budget of the first movie by age regression CGI and Kurt Russell for an entire movie, but it's fine. So I think I'm gonna make a small move here. I don't know. So tell me if this is a small or a big move. So I think it's transmuted detail into something else. So in this scene in the original game, the Ishmael character, the person who saves air quotes or who saves punished Snake in this scenario, or who saves Big Boss in this scenario, is in fact the real Big Boss. But in this one, I don't think this person exists. I think this person is we're gonna Fight Club this shit. Where the boss is imagining Ishmael, who isn't just her repressed feelings about killing Jack.
That would be. I'm gonna say that's probably.
That feels like a large move. I just don't.
That's
know
a large move. It's changing You're changing a relationship fundamentally. You're changing that. You're changing, and you're breaking the series of events. So I'm gonna call that. That's a big large move. It's somewhere in between those two. But that's definitely we have fundamentally
it felt like
broken
a large
the
move. I just didn't know a name for it.
And the thing is I think there are times where we're just going to declare something is if I think that if ever you're kind of oh, am I making a move? Is this a small move? If it's a large move, are you being true to the fiction, or are you smashing it with a hammer?
That's fair. Okay. So yeah, we Fight Club this scene where maybe at some point in the movie we'll go back and we'll see it, kind of like they do at the end of Fight Club, right?
Yeah.
But so Kurt Russell's call me Ishmael.
I want to skip ahead just a little bit because I just had a brain blast.
Yep.
So the man on fire is Volgan, right? The man on fire has extra reason to fucking hate the boss.
Oh my god, he does, doesn't he?
So I'm gonna go ahead and take that as.
Do you know who the man on fire is, Jeff?
Nope.
Okay, so you know Colonel Volgan from Metal Gear Solid 3? The Russian bad guy?
Yeah.
With lightning powers?
Yeah.
Yep.
He comes back as a giant fire zombie in Metal Gear Solid 5.
That rules?
Yeah.
Like that? Oh.
It's great. In fact, he at one point he kills a helicopter with a giant flaming whale.
Yes.
And he rides a flaming unicorn.
Dope.
But I'm gonna classify that as give a textual relationship more history.
Yeah, that's right.
But I just want to put that out there that there is definitely, we should be laying that groundwork early on for why the man on fire is so gung-ho to fucking kill the boss.
Makes sense. Actually, frankly, has more motivation to be powered by rage than he does Big Boss.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make a move here. I'm gonna make a move. I'm gonna make a small move and pull in a context from the source text. Or pull in an element from the source text. In this scene, in the scene with Ishmael, where Ishmael is fighting Quiet, right? I want a brief shot of the third child doing some creeping through, and I wanted to pause and to zoom in on the third child, and for him to just mutter, like him to like cock his head and mutter, "That's not how this goes."
Oh, nice. I love
Bec-
that.
because if the third child is Psycho Mantis, then that gives us that meta moment of like the one character that understand, like then that positions hit, that gives us that little hint of this character is going to become our self-aware villain, of like he recognizes that A, Ishmael is not there, and B, that Ishmael, that like that is not narratively accurate. So like there's just this brief hint of who he's going to become by just cocking his head and going like, wait, that's not right. And
I
then we
love
cut,
it.
and then we come back later. And then when we come back later to see the fight scene where it is boss doing all of Ishmael's moves, then we cut back to that scene again of like, that's not right. And like we understand what he's saying.
Well, does he still say that's not right, or does he say in this version, that's better?
You know what? I absolutely adore that. That feels brilliant. That's a very good
I
touch.
do love that. Yeah.
Yes, that's more like it.
Um. Okay. So
So
the
we've
rest of the
we've escaped from
hospital
the
escape
hospital.
goes more or less the same. We fight the man on fire. We escape and we're rescued by Hatsalot,
Yeah.
uh, who is God, I love Metal Gear Solid 5 Ocelot. He's my favorite Ocelot. There's three
He's
types of
so good.
Ocelot. So
The
there's
middle evolution was the best evolution.
it's true. It's some he's like the best Charizard. No, wait, Charmander. My bad. I'm sorry. Excuse me, Charmander and Ocelot.
Now,
Um
here is where I want to possibly break the series of events of maybe not. You're gonna have to tell me if this is me breaking the series of events.
okay, fair enough.
I would like to pass over, like I want to introduce, the idea, like we hear it on a TV that the Soviets have moved into Afghanistan, like we introduce like the context. Ocelot gets Ishmael
Mhm.
and Boss out of the hospital, and then we basically like. In fact, I'm going to deliberately. Here, I'm going to hold on. I am going to. I'm trying to see. I'm gonna make a large move and link two things that were unconnected, but I'm also possibly gonna make a second move of breaking a series of events.
Okay.
I would like to skip um straight to like it's time to fight Skullface. Or rather not like fight, but like introduce the idea of like, hey, we have this team, like I've assembled this team. We are the Diamond Dogs, and like our role is to take down this rogue general who
Right,
is
we're not we're not obscuring the fact that Skullface is the act, because for a large portion of the game you think Cypher's the actual villain until it makes it known that Skullface is working of his own volition. But like
Hmm.
maybe Skullface comes out and does a big villain is like has
Yeah, I
like a
think I
big
think
yeah.
I think that like Skullface's motivations are all pretty like clear,
Hmm.
and like I feel like it would make it makes him more of a prominent character, and like it ties him more directly into sort of the Patriot saga if like we just kind of straight up are like, here is the, and it also kind of adds that cycle of like, here the boss is going to do the evil thing and like compromise and become part of this like paramilitary judge, jury, and executioner squad because, oh no, there's a big scary skull faced villain that like obviously it's the right thing to do to join this above the law military squad to take out.
Yeah, I like the idea that we see like Fox patches. Like maybe we can turn like the special unit that kind of carries on through Fox, right?
Yeah.
Foxhound. And so we see a bunch of guys, and then like we introduce Sahelanthropus like way early, right? Like boom, big scary fucking Metal Gear. We're like, yes,
Yeah.
a Metal Gear is here. And then we see a bunch of like soldiers with like we get this panning shot across these soldiers. They all have this like um they all have like the Fox patch on, and it's very similar to like how they introduce Ray in like Metal Gear Solid 2, right? Where like there's all these soldiers together, and then just like right behind them we see a couple of like guys step into shot, and we're all wearing, because Skullface runs a unit called XOF, because he's the shadow of Fox, and they all walk into the frame, and just like Skullface walks in, and you just see him like snap, they level guns and just mow these Fox soldiers down, and then they take shot like Sahelanthropist for themselves.
Yeah.
So declaring themselves both rogue agents and capable of really massive destruction.
And we do that immediately. Like, I like the idea that, like, because to me, the idea, like, that is going to kind of calcify that, or really solidify that idea that, like, yeah, like, we have an, like, rather than it being like, who are we really after? Who am I fighting? It highlights the hypocrisy of it, right? It goes back to that hypocrisy of it, of the slippery slope of easy compromises until you're the villain of, like, yeah, that's an evil guy with a skull face who is killing people, and he's declaring that he's the shadow of Fox. Like,
yeah, even better, him and the XOF guys walk into the scene. And like in the scene, like maybe they're all speaking, like, because we're in Afghanistan in the 80s, all of these like particular like Fox unit guys, they're all speaking Russian, right?
Mhm.
And maybe like I think what we see is that, like, this is the first, instead of like mowing them all down, Skullface says something sort of villainous, and then they all start like dying because they've got the vocal cord parasite. He's like released the vocal cord parasite on them, but it's like a Russian strain,
Yeah. Yeah. And so, like, we have, like, an easily identifiable villain in, like, the first half of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's going to emphasize, it's going to really, like, solidify that idea that we're going to see, like, a series of sensible decisions that turn someone into a monster.
Right, exactly. Because, like, we get a scene where maybe Kaz is talking about, like, this is the guy who hit us, boss. He's a rogue agent. He's got obviously some sort of bioweapon, and now he has a Metal Gear. Like, listen, we don't like the Patriots are one thing, but like they're at least predictable, that sort of thing. The enemy that you know.
Yeah.
I don't know how we work in Kaz like fucking. He needs to have a hate boner for Skullface, though. This is very important to me. I don't know why. Mostly because I like how Kaz is a very important character to me, because he's a guy who shows, like, he gets severely injured, becomes like disabled because of those injuries, and continues to like find a place to like push forward and realize his dreams in whatever ways that he can, which I think is very interesting. I just like Kaz. I just really like Kaz. I don't know.
No, Kaz is a good character.
Also, we get that, we get the Phantom Limb speech at the end of Act 1, or at the end of Act 2.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make some moves here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
To tie in, to give Kaz a hate boner, to give Kaz that hate boner, I'm gonna fundamentally change his role, and I'm gonna fundamentally change Ocelot's role,
mm-hmm.
and I'm going to like just move some stuff around to really emphasize that hate boner, but also like put position and also like make some moves here. What if Kaz is not the founder of the Diamond Dogs, but is like a prominent, like Fox is like, or is a Fox employee that becomes their like backer because it was his military like installation that was like taken down with this bio weapon, and like he personally witnessed the death of his entire squad. So like he steps in to becomes the leader of the Diamond Dogs by way of I'm gonna position you to take down this person that is a threat, and also this is how we find out that he has the Metal Gear. Like, this is how the dogs find out he has the Metal Gear.
Oh, I like that.
So it's like that's how we meet Kaz. Kaz then like we hear that this group, the Diamond Dogs, are not like the Diamond Dogs are like that kind of classic Vietnam mercenary group where it involves like listening to a radio and sitting around with our shirts off. Very hot, very sexy.
Right.
We're
Slightly
playing up the sexuality.
Slightly less kidnapping with wormholes.
Yeah, like we're playing up the physicality of it. We're playing up the body language of it. Like
I'm
it's a
putting
lot of
my
like
foot down. Somebody must get Fultoned.
fair. But like they are contacted by Kaz. Like they take the jobs that they take the jobs that they take, and Kaz contacts them as like a backer and is like, I need you to take down Skullface. Like I want him dead, and I want the ground that he walks on salted such that nothing will ever grow there again.
Love it. I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
I am also going to make a small move. I'm going to give a textual relationship some more history.
Okay.
Because we changed things. So.
Oh, did I make that move just now?
Not well. Sort.
Or I'm gonna say I made a large move. That felt large.
Because Kaz.
That changed her.
Kaz really hates the Patriots in
that changed the relationship.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna.
So do you know who Ocelot's mom is?
I don't.
It's the boss in the text of the game.
Oh.
He never has to deal with that because she's fucking dead. But now she's not dead, and also he just saved her from the hospital, and also she might be the best hope of taking down this shadow organization controlling the world. She's a legendary fucking super soldier. And now he's here and she's here, and he's 40 and she's in her 60s, and they have no relationship. Except for like them dealing with each other in the previous movie, you know?
Yeah.
I
love that.
So yeah. Okay.
So where are we moving next? We've got Skullface in place. We've introduced Skullface as like a big scary. I want to. This might be a large move.
Okay.
This might be a large move because this might be betraying the source text's intent a little bit, and you guys can tell me if this is true.
Mm-hmm.
I want Skullface to be a little bit campy. A little bit.
This is
yeah. This is
okay.
text.
Okay, good. Because
anything is campy in the Metal Gear franchise.
I'm gonna reference another text. I'm gonna make a small move. I'm gonna take a token. Mm-hmm. The text that I'm gonna reference is the acting note that I want to give to the actor playing Skullface, who I guess we've said who I guess we've said is Clancy Brown, mm-hmm. who I think would crush this acting note. M. Bison from Street Fighter 1994.
Oh my god!
Yes.
Like, where it's just like the most gleeful, the most delighted to be chewing scenery. Like Raul Julia having the time of his like. Tell Clancy Brown like you are gonna be just having fun.
Here's the thing: Clancy Brown's already played this character, and it's Lex Luthor from Justice League.
See, I feel like it's even campier. I feel like it's closer to Mr. Krabs than like where it's just this like ha-haing big burly like he's just crushing every line.
Specifically the scene. I guess I'm gonna make a small move and reference another text with this or something.
Go for it. Yeah. Yep.
What I'm thinking of is specifically the scene in Justice League Unlimited when the Question confronts Lex Luthor.
Oh yeah.
About the thing, and he just beats the shit out of the Question while monologuing the whole time, having a great fucking time of it. Like, that's that energy.
For sure. Or the other I'm not gonna make the small move here because we're referencing the same text, but the episode where the Great Brain Robbery, where he swaps with the Flash, and like he's playing the Flash as Luthor, at that level where he's just like kind of goofy and like you're almost not supposed to take him purely seriously, despite he's like ranting about like, uniting the world for peace. Like we're not going to allow like all the world's cultures. But he just sounds like he's so monologue-y that like it feels like he's a parody of a James Bond spy villain.
Right. I don't want to give up Skullface's motivations though, because they're very. Do you know what Skullface's motivations for the vocal cord parasite are?
that he's going to kill anyone that speaks English because he believes that uniting the world for peace is the same as making it culturally American, obliterating other cultures.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I have the
Well,
wiki page in front of me.
Well, the reason he believes that is because he is from a non-Western culture that was completely basically he is he is like from some non-native not non-native but non-Western country, and he had his entire culture stripped from him when he was like when the West came and basically obliterated his culture.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I like that, and I think that's a really good thing to keep.
Again,
and
he's the only Metal Gear bad guy with a clear and logical motivation for his craziness. And he's named Skullface.
And I like this. I like this because I think we're gonna make a move here. We're gonna transmute this detail into something else.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna like highlight this contradiction. I think that the reason that we're telling Clancy Brown to have so much fun with this role is because like he's kind of right. He's wrong in where he lands. Like obviously, like he's wrong in those things. But the idea that I want to stop Western colonization like is like a noble motive.
Right. Exactly.
And I want in a story where we are following the villain and watching them slowly become the villain, having the villain, you know, the skull-faced man that's going to drop like vocal cord viruses and kill everyone, have like a motivation that's pretty justifiable. Feels like it's highlighting that contradiction of like it's the first little like hint that we're giving these characters of the bad guys. Are we watching?
Wait a second.
Are these characters bad guys?
Are we the bad guys? Some guard on Mother Base looks around and is like, "Hey, are we the bad guys?"
I think that's do we call that referencing another text?
I'd say so.
Yeah,
because referencing that Mitchell and Webb. Is Mitchell and Webb?
I think so.
The skit with the are we the bad guys? We have skulls on our gear.
Yeah, if we're
Yep.
Okay, so we built to the crescendo, and is defeating Skullface the crescendo of the movie or the halfway point of this movie?
Halfway
Yeah,
point of the movie.
It's the halfway point. Like,
where do we pick up? So I feel like another element that we need to add to like explore, because I think exploring the idea of legacy is interesting when you put together all of the boss's weird children.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Ocelot, who's her actual child.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think I'm going to make a large move here, and I'm going to link two things that were once unconnected in Skullface and the boss. And I think maybe Skullface defect, like, where Kaz, like, he's the mirror of Kaz, right? Kaz defected from from Fox to Big Boss, or to the boss's side.
Yeah.
And I think Skullface defected from the boss over to Cypher.
I like that. I
And
like
so
that.
he was maybe he was part of a unit called the Sons of the Boss.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, much like, I mean, that's what they call that. Actually, that's what they call the soldiers in, I forgot, in Metal Gear Solid 3. They're the Sons of the Boss. Which is weird because the end is obviously older than all of them.
I'm making a move here.
Okay.
I'm making a move here. I'm betraying the source's intent again.
Okay.
Because if we are changing the, so are you implying that you're changing the XOF to the Sons of the Boss? Because I like that, and I want to take that detail and betray the source material's intent with that detail. If that's where you're going.
Took them all.
Just took them all. And the reason that I want to do that, and the reason that I want to do that is because that means that that means that Skullface's army has SOB on their outfits.
Oh my god.
And that is very funny.
That is very funny, yes.
Like that kind of intentionally funny detail where the bad guys are called the SOBs.
So, in going with the whole having all of the boss's weird children there, I want to make a large move to link two things that were once unconnected, because Quiet has no fucking connection to the boss really, other than trying to kill her that one time.
It's true.
But like we still got to get Quiet in here.
Yeah, it's true.
And
we've got a couple of characters we need to get in here in the form of Quiet, Eli / now Ellie, and Huey and Peace and Code Talker, I imagine.
but like Quiet's relationship with Big Boss was always really awkward, and like they tried to shoehorn in like this weird romance thing that I didn't buy at all. But
a
like
romance that you don't buy in Metal Gear, how weird.
I know, right? But like, so I am connecting the boss and Quiet because like the boss views Quiet, whether she wants to admit it or not, the boss views Quiet as kind of like her second chance at Jack.
Yeah.
Like
Quiet's
she's like
but
this young she's this young
hold on.
soldier.
That joke was made exclusively for you, Jeff.
That was for us. That was a moment for us. Sorry, continue.
Sorry, yes.
But no, Quiet's this young soldier who, you know, the boss sees a lot of potential in. She doesn't want to replicate her previous mistakes. She doesn't want Quiet to replicate Jack's previous mistakes. And so that's how I want to kind of like position their relationship.
I think Quiet can be the through line for this whole movie. Like, Quiet is this. We position Quiet because, like, so maybe we bring in Quiet and then Ellie a little bit later.
I have a pitch for how we bring in Huey and Code Talker and Ellie.
Okay.
But finish your thought.
Yeah. But Quiet is this through line. The boss sees the Quiet, like, unfairly too. Sees Quiet as like her new chance at redemption because she's failed her biological son, and she's failing her clone daughter. But this person, no baggage, no history, somebody she sees herself in, like sees hope, and then I think.
Oh my god, does the boss see Quiet as a manic pixie dream child?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But I think the thing that can push the boss over the edge is like we build this relationship. I mean, I don't think Quiet, like, I think maybe Quiet still does not talk during the movie, but communicates with like words on paper, Kojima.
Yeah.
Because people can write English, anyways.
Sign language is a thing.
Computers. But she can, like, I think it's funny if she has like a notebook and she holds up like little sardonic comments the whole time to keep with that like she's our person who's like she's the one who's making jokes the whole time, right? But like I think you're gonna probably hate me for this, but I think maybe the ending for Quiet happens the same, except maybe we make it more realistic. So like the helicopter is down, or we show like at this point this is when all the empire is crumbling, right? In something maybe not a snake bite because that's stupid.
Yeah.
You know? But maybe she's injured, like the boss has taken a bullet or something.
Yeah.
But maybe it's on. This is happening on Mother Base or something, and maybe the helicopter's gone down. She's talking to Ocelot, who doesn't talk the language, so that way we remove Code Talker, so she doesn't have another. You know, she seems to only know two languages, English and Navajo, for some reason. But she can't communicate otherwise, and so the boss fails yet another. Because like everyone keeps wanting the boss to continue the line when all she wants to do is give up the title.
I feel a lot better about Quiet going out that way for the boss, especially because, well, first of all, like the boss isn't some mediocre white dude.
Yeah, fake mediocre white dude at that.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel a lot better about that and the way that it furthers
Mhm.
the themes that we've laid out and isn't just about fridging her for the sake of cheap
And
pathos.
this is the real climax of the movie. It's the thing that like makes the boss give up hope on the thing and realizes that, you know, she has to, if she's gonna fucking pass the mantle, the only way she has to do that is not, she can't have people who like her. She has to become the bad guy to be able to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only way somebody, like, she can't bring heroes to her side to help the world. She has to make a hero by being the big enough villain to bring a hero into it. I don't know if I made any moves just now.
I think you made a large move to
I
like
think that
rearrange.
felt like a big move. Like, yeah,
You reordered the story and like you revealed nuance that was not previously present. So I think I'm gonna call that. And you changed a pivotal choice. Like
it's true.
you've made several large moves, and we'll call that a large move.
Okay,
So
sorry,
I
I
want
was
to. I
riffing.
want to. That's the nature of this is. I think that you can condense a lot of Metal Gear Solid 5 into like one strong action scene.
Yes, almost
If it is
certainly.
if you, or at least the early part, like you can make one strong scene that like involves the Diamond Dogs like raiding a facility, and that is where they get like all of the cipher the all of the SOBs that are gonna like jump ship. That is where like, you know, I think there's a moment where like that is where we get Quiet and Huey and Code Talker and Ellie, probably because Huey is like, wait, there's a child, and she like brings out Ellie, who has been raised as a child soldier. And you know, Code Talker is like, that's where we find out about the details of the parasite, because Code Talker has been forced to work there. Like, you do one operation where they think they're going to take down Skullface, and like he's not there, but like they free these other people that are like, all right, we're on board, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Where like, and it's the one, and it is tying into sort of the gradual downfall of villainy. Like, it's the moment that feels like we're the heroes, right? We've rescued all of these people, and now we're going to start undoing all of that.
We also need to establish in this scene Huey is a piece of shit. I will not. I will. He has to be a piece of garbage. I cannot redeem that man.
That's fair. That is fair.
He is so bad. He is the worst fucking. He is, in fact, the worst character in Metal Gear, and that is fucking saying something.
Yeah.
He's a bigger bastard than Volgin, and I did not think that was possible.
Yeah.
So, God, we have a vehement hate for Huey.
That's fair. No, that's valid. I get it. I'm fine with that.
Love Ocelot, though. Ocelot's our boy.
Ocelot's great. Ocelot. My knowledge of Ocelot is that he's a weird old dude that's way too into pistols.
Sorry, not Ocelot. I meant Otacon.
Oh, Otacon, also great.
Yeah.
Weird nerd. Weird nerd loves parrots.
Somehow Huey, a war criminal, birthed two children that also ended up being war criminals. It's like built into his DNA.
Yep.
So then maybe tell me, you're gonna have to tell me if this is a small move or a large move. What if Huey's the bad guy?
That is, I don't even know if that's a. I don't. He kind of is.
But what I mean is, like, what if like Huey
He's the
is
big bad.
He's like, yeah, in the first half we find out that the person that like has been working alongside we find out the scope of what Huey is like convinced of.
What if he's not? What if he's not the bad guy in the first half? So Skullface is still the bad guy.
That's what. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Is like once Skullface is taken down, and like the Diamond Dogs have the Metal Gear, then Huey is like, excellent, and I have my chemical weapon, and they're like, you have what?
Oh, that's great. So. And
is that a small move or a large move?
I feel like that's kind of so Huey kind of does that in the second half of Metal Gear 5, but it's almost ineptly. Like he almost does it like he kind of does it intentionally, but he's kind of just a dumb like
Yeah.
he's too much of a dumbass to have really been the big bad. But like making him pretend to have been a bumbling like
Like
spineless
a
dumbass.
oh no, like help me, I have to save this child, and then it's like, haha, turns out I did that.
I
Turns
did
out
all of this.
I made
Yeah.
I made the child soldiers. Skullface, me. I made him that way. Like I did that. Like all of these things were me, and it just
You know you know who genetically engineered Quiet to have superpowers? This guy.
right. It's like it turns out like all of these things are this guy that like we have thought of as like our friend, and then it turns out like he just, and that is when he just completely like that is our low point. That is our low point climax, or like low point, like the villain wins at the end of Act 2 before our grand comeback is like it turns out Huey has just been like spinning, has just been playing everyone, and the second that they get a hold of the Metal Gear and the virus, it's like, okay, cool. Thank you for doing my work for me. I will take my things now.
I love it. I think that's
Yeah.
probably a large move.
I
Okay.
think that's a large move because I think that's technically betraying the source text's intent because, like, you know, Huey is kind of a fool
Okay.
in the text, so
Yeah, I think if we make him the big, if we hate him that much, we make him the big bad.
I know how
And-
we subvert the third. You saying this has made me realize how we subvert the third act of victory.
Okay.
So, Huey runs away with Sahelanthropus and the English strain of the virus. They're like, "Fuck, we've got to stop Huey," because like while Skullface may have had like he had a bad method of going about like justifiable anger.
mhm.
Huey just wants to blackmail the Patriots. He is in it like he is going to do these terrible things for no justifiable reason, just to like make himself feel good, right? So it's like, well, obviously we have like so Skullface. Oh, we felt sympathy for him. Sorry, oh poor pour one out for Skullface. Huey, this big bastard, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's all hands on deck. We go raid the facility. Somehow Ellie it's kind of like the big climactic fight with Sahelanthropus from the game remixed. So you go in there, we discover that Ellie, like Little Liquid, has snuck onto the helicopter, and this is where we get flashes of the third child popping back up, and we keep
Mhm.
seeing the third child like slipping into frame as maybe the camera's moving away from Ellie, but it's always near Ellie. And so during the fight, like we move through the facility, we get to Sahelanthropus. Huey's about to unleash Sahelanthropus on the soldiers, and then it like in the game how Sahelanthropus betrays Skullface because of the third child. In this one, it betrays Huey because of the third child.
Yeah.
But in this one, it's it's Ellie and the third child kind of running away with Sahelanthropus at the end of this thing.
Yeah. Right.
But I think the thing is we lose the Empire because it's all hands on deck. They defeat Huey, but they discover that like the virus is like Huey like when they showed up, Huey went ahead and broke the third the virus out.
Mhm.
So the whole time they've been fighting through, they were already dead before they hit the ground, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this is where we get like the boss is like, I can't. The boss realizes like for maybe some reason she's immune to the virus.
It was made. It was like everything was made with her DNA, and she is therefore immune.
Yeah, exactly. So we can figure out some dumb sci-fi plot for this, right? And
Yeah.
Quiet is obviously immune because she's already infected. But it's this is a different version of the virus. That's also why Liquid and Ocelot don't get infected.
Yep.
Because they have the boss's DNA. They
Yep.
just didn't. No one accounted for this thing. But the boss realizes I have to lock down this facility. I can't let anyone out of here because if this virus escapes here, it's this is a a pandemic that like the world has literally never seen before.
Right.
And so we get like so there's a kind of too long but good section, but mixed section of the second half of Metal Gear Solid 5 where there's a second outbreak of the virus and you cannot cure it and you have to like kill your own soldiers because you cannot let the virus escape quarantine.
Right.
And so it's that section of the game, but this is how we justify Code Talker not being there. Like all these problems with the boss takes this is where the boss takes the bullet. And so she's lost her men. She's lost her new like shining beacon of hope. She's lost her bargaining chip in both the virus and Sahelanthropist, and she's also lost her other kid. Like Ellie hates her and runs away.
Yeah.
And this is where she's like, all right, fine, world. If you're gonna take like, I can't inspire a hero with the way that I'm doing things. And maybe she explains this to Ocelot, because he's the only kid left, and also he'd get it.
Yeah.
Ocelot seems to be down for a lot of shit. Like we get like a monologue. Oh, go on. Sorry.
Making a move. Wait.
Yep.
I have to make a small move. Hold on. Let me look at my small moves. So this might be a small move of making that textual relationship more history.
Mm-hmm.
If Ocelot is kind of loudly voicing, if Ocelot, like we introduce Ocelot as the head of the Diamond Dogs, like a take any job, no loyalty mercenary unit.
Right. Fits
If
very
in
well
that,
with Ocelot.
so if in the end, this is a small move of either strengthening a connection, making a textual relationship more history. If in the end, like that to me is the moment when Boss realizes that Ocelot is right, and that like it doesn't matter. Like there's no grand hero story here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like that's our downfall is like and it emphasizes, and so I can then take this and reveal nuance which is not normally present, which is the real villain is an apathetic acceptance that this war machine and cycle is fine, because it's, you know what, Ocelot, you're fucking right. None of this stuff matters. Like, I can't make a hero. I can't save the world. I can't make a difference. What matters is that we get ours. And like that is her accepting
people like us get theirs.
Yeah, like that is where she changes. That is where her motives change, and they change to Ocelot. They change to Ocelot's motivation, because Ocelot, even if he's portrayed as like a hero of the story, his point of view of fuck it, it's about money, it's about giving, it's about making sure that people get theirs. Like that is the evil mindset.
Oh, what if I would love switching this at the end when the boss is giving like this speech, like we get a like it's a Metal Gear, it has to end with a monologue, right?
Oh God, yeah.
And so the
You're
boss
not right.
is giving this like cold monologue about like the world has cast us out, and so we're gonna take what is owed to us, every pound of flesh, with interest, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And then like in the background as she's giving this, you can just see Ocelot being like realizing, like, because like maybe through the movie he's cold to her at the like he doesn't want her to die, like get fucking murked in a goddamn hospital, right?
But like he's not. But nothing matters. He's a mercenary. None of this matters.
Right, and maybe he's switched a little by the end, because we've got to give a reason why Ocelot decides to get with Liquid.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe by the end of this, he gets caught up in the idea of being a hero, of making a difference. Like he didn't think that a difference could be made, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then just to see, like, he is taking from this.
his hero, his mother, his family, the person that he thought might be able to save him, has just abandoned the cause. Ironically, by embracing his ideology, it pushes him away from that thing that he believed.
Right. Like, oh my god, like because he's seeing it from an external viewpoint.
Yeah.
He's like, oh my god, how wrong was I?
Yep.
So he built. Oh yes. Okay. Yeah. So yes. Good.
And so, like, that's the end of our movie. Except I would love to end on a small move. I'd love to end on a small move, highlight a contradiction, and change a pivotal choice.
Okay.
Hmm.
Or betray the source text intent. Either one. I want to highlight a contradiction, which is that. So these are both kind of the same thing. So we have these moments, right? And the end of the movie is we have our heroes we have our newfound villains who have just like given this whole spiel, climb on a helicopter and fly off.
Mm-hmm.
We cut to that helicopter from earlier, and like Snake is holding holding it open and like looking at Miller, who is like talking through this, and is or the major, whoever we want to be the mission giver.
Yeah.
And is talking through this, and the person given the mission's like, all right, you got any questions? And Solid Snake like tosses the folder back, is like, I didn't read it, I don't know. And it's just it portrays the fact, it is the idea that like this is nothing to Snake, like, right. This is a job.
Yeah, this is just another, like, you know, we see like maybe like the boss's like a quick montage of the boss building outer heaven, and
yeah,
you know, and then like the Snake being like, it's like, I don't, like, tossing the folder and being like, I didn't
read this.
Yeah,
you give me I just needed a name. Mm-hmm. And so which sets up the idea that Metal Gear Solid 3, here's how we get, if I may.
Yes.
If I may, since I know
I want your pitch for the adaptation of OG Metal Gear.
Okay, good, because actually this fits perfectly into my pitch for OG Metal Gear and to what we've already established the ending is. Metal Gear Solid, Snake has not read the folder. Snake does not know this long history of how, you know, so-and-so fell and blah, 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 blah. This is a job. Mm-hmm. Snake throws the folder. Metal Gear Solid 3. Metal Gear, like the movie based on the game Metal Gear Solid.
Uh-huh.
Metal Gear Solid 3, Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid 3, Metal Gear Solid. Here's the I said this to August, I said this to Brian while we were taking a break. I pitched this.
Mm-hmm.
The movie that I want to base Metal Gear Solid on is The Raid. It is Metal Gear Solid I called it Metal Gear Solid. Solid Snake walks into a building. Shit happens, and Solid Snake is faced with like an increasing series of like, oh god, like we don't leave the facilities. We don't have any sweeping world-spanning things. It is one base, one mission, and Solid Snake is just increasingly frustrated and and how we tie it into what we've established here is that he's just being hammered with all of this, like, turns out you're a clone, turns out this, turns out that, and finally gets to that point. Turns out like your whole life was a simulation. Turns out the Patriots run the world. Turns out. And finally, when he's faced with this idea of like, so give us back Metal Gear. Like, your job is done, soldier. And he goes, nah, eat shit, and blows it all up. And like, that is how we end the war machine.
I would like to add one little twist to this.
Please.
That Solid Snake is the one who pushes the button, but we find out through the course of the movie, since like Revolver Ocelot is the only character who's through all three movies, right?
Yep.
We find out like between like movie 2 and 3, Ocelot's been playing the bad guys to the point that he got them to put all of their eggs in this basket.
I like that.
Yeah, because he's like, I watched my hero fall because of this. I wasn't the one who was like, I was never going to be the guy who could blow it all up, but I could put it all in one place.
Yeah, I actually kind of I like a
Ocelot
face
has to
turn.
be a double agent, right? Like it's
I
how
like
he
a
Of
is.
course.
it's a third act, third movie face turn, and I feel like a good trilogy needs one of those.
That's actually technically what happens in Metal Gear Solid 4 anyways. Like, you find out Ocelot is in fact not the bad, like, he's the bad guy, but he's been being the bad guy for the reasons of, like, bringing all of the stuff, centralizing all of the stuff so it can all be blown up.
Pretty solid. I like that.
And you fight him. You fist fight him on top of a thing. But, yeah, it's gonna be great. Also, it makes the liquid solid fight so much, like, more intense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Alright.
And that's it.
Yeah, we fixed Metal
We
Gear.
did it.
Yeah.
We fixed Metal Gear.
We created a story to surpass Metal Gear. Solid.
I want to play this game with every game, movie, book that I've ever read that I didn't like. I can't emphasize that enough.
All right,
I don't know. I only want to play it with stuff that I like. Like the next time I want to play this, I want to play it with Twin Peaks.
Please literally name a day. We're like halfway through season 2 right now, so like, when can we do this? I guess
we'll have to get Richard in on this one.
after we finish season 3, we will talk through when we can do this.
I am not going to watch season 3. I don't have it in me, but I have 2 other people who are kind of signed up low key already, so I'll hit you up when we figure out some more solid times.
Hit me up.
Cool. Well, thank you everybody for coming to the last Metal Gear Monday on a Tuesday.
Yep.
If you liked this, this channel will have a number of live streams. Particularly at the end of this month, we will be doing a 2-day live stream event. How auspicious of me! We'll be doing a two-day live streaming session. We have a number of guests, including Jeff. We're going to be raising money for Rosehip's Medic, the Rosehip Medic Group, our collective. In Portland, they support protesters in the streets, getting the medical care that they need. They're doing important work, especially right now because shit's fucked. I don't really have to tell you that. You have eyes. So come and tune into that. We're gonna be trying to raise some money, do some as much good as we possibly can. Also, starting I guess next week, August.
Yeah.
Yeah. So August and I are moving on from Metal Gear, a franchise that aims high, like swings hard and aims for some big ideas and maybe doesn't quite hit them. We'll be going on to a franchise that does something similar. We're going to start playing the BioShock franchise starting Monday. Metal Gear Monday is dead. Maritime Monday is here.
So can I be invited on? Can I be invited on to Maritime Monday for also a game of Kubrick, but not for the BioShock games, specifically to stick with theme? I want to be brought on for the Kurt Russell movie Captain Ron, also true to the theme of Maritime Monday.
How about we split the difference and do Overboard, because I haven't seen Captain Ron, but I've seen Overboard.
Is he in Overboard? Is that?
I thought that was Kurt Russell. Yeah.
Yeah, Overboard's Kurt Russell.
Oh yeah, Kurt Russell. That's the Goldie Hawn one. Yeah, that's That's actually the one I was thinking of.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's the one I was thinking of. I was specifically thinking of Overboard with Goldie Hawn.
Yes.
Which I thought was Captain Ron, honestly. I don't know what Captain Ron is now.
But yeah, tune in. We're going to be burning our way through BioShock. It's going to be a time. Hopefully it won't take us as long to get through as fucking Metal Gear did. Jesus. I feel like we've been playing Metal Gear our whole lives.
Well, it does help that, to my knowledge, BioShock doesn't have any 2-hour long cutscenes randomly.
Yeah, it does. BioShock lets you play the game for the vast majority of the game. But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you again, Jeff.
My pleasure.
Jeff, plug your stuff.
Party of One podcast, an actual play podcast focused on 2-player role-playing experiences. You can find that at partyofonepodcast.com. All My Fantasy Children, which is a tabletop-inspired character creation, world building, and storytelling podcast. You can find that at oneshotpodcast.com because it's part of the One Shot Podcast Network. You can also find my games at jeffstormer.itch.io or follow me on Twitter at partyofonepod.
Jeff makes some amazing games on Twitch. I've played a few of them, particularly When You're Here, Your Family.
Great game.
A game that's kind of hard to play right now.
Tough to play. Not really playable at this moment.
No.
Doing the job's really good though.
Doing the job is great.
Really good.
And you can definitely play that right now.
It's true.
You can.
But thank you guys so much. I've never had a sign off for Metal Gear Monday. I was just usually like it either ends with like, all right, have a great day, or me frustratedly like turning off the console during a boss fight. So
Yeah.
So yeah, tune in next week.
Yep.
We love you. Peace.
Good night, everybody.
Later, taters.